Person from Inside Track Motorsport News. Joined today by Rich Schwartzenburg, who spearheaded a really neat project that we had at the recent Motorama Custom Car Motorsports Expo. He rallied a team of people and supporters to build a mini stock car at the show. So many times we prepare for the show and we think of all the neat things and ideas we have. You put them out there. Some things happen, some things don't. But when this came up to talk to you, Rich, man, you grabbed onto it, and it got support right off the bat as soon as you spread word, and you really made it happen.
Well, thanks for having me, Greg. What a crazy ride this whole project has been up until this point and continuing forward. But, it all started from a couple emails, and I sent a question to Clinton Jeffries about their project that they were running.
So at Schwartzenburg Speedway, yeah.
Yeah, and I asked the question if I could sponsor the numbers for that car. And they mentioned that they were pretty taken care of when it came to sponsorship and stuff. So the best thing I could do was to see if I could get another project started. And they did theirs over the course of a year in a high school. And I put the project out there to try to get into another high school. And within a couple hours, you approached me about seeing if we could do it at the show. And things escalated quickly.
Yeah, it really did snowball just from an idea stage and some idle chatter, or just putting it out there, to a lot of people really getting behind it. And you needed a car, and talk about how you got a car.
That was crazy. So the original plan was to do a whole bone stock project. So bone stock, pure stock, and was to strip a car at the show and see how far we could get with a build in a weekend. And then the logistics of the dirty work inside with all the great cars that you have at the Motorama show, I think it would have been just too difficult to do that type of work there. So as we started to look a little further, David Simchung, he'd won the car, and he decided that he didn't want to race it. And he offered it up to me for this project, and what an incredible opportunity that was. It's an 80s style Mustang, and it had been a mini stock. It'd probably been a few years away from its last serious run as a mini stock, but it required the updates, and we took a hold of that project, and it was an incredible donation.
Yeah. So you mentioned Clinton at Ashweekend. So that was one of the things every year you do, post-op after the show and put some things together. So racing is such a big part of what we do with Inside Track, and it's not half Motorama, but we're so into it. We always want it to be a strong part of the show and be prominent, and it's a great traditional kickoff to the racing season here. So like we added a stage in there this year, Stone Ridge stage, and Gary Calling, who you know from Flamboro, like one of the guys who helped you out on this, was so good announcing and bringing life into the area, like into that part of the show. But with you guys, we couldn't do some things because there are people in there, and but it was pretty extensive, like with what you guys brought in the car. Just talk about, how it arrived at the show and what you did over the course of the weekend.
So we had stripped it down previous to the show, just to make sure there wasn't going to be any major hiccups. Strip bolts, we found a few of those along the way, and broken bolts, and this part didn't fit, and this part was the wrong part. And so we kind of had an idea of what we were dealing with, but we stripped it down to pretty much a rolling chassis for when we got into the show, and left the parts that had came with the car on the show. But courtesy of Napa and Napa Auto Pro, we were given basically a shopping cart, and had to go in and get what we needed. And we literally gave them a list, and they supplied us within 24 hours, and we brought those parts to the show with us. And then Scott Steckley, the Pinty's driver and team operator, he got us the racing parts and things like the seat and the belts and stuff through 22 Automotive. And
22 Racing, yeah.
And we were able to get like the actual car stuff, because that's what I explained to the people at Napa, was this had been a street car. Like, it's not, it wasn't a McCall built race car where all the bits and pieces are racing specific. It's a mini stock. At some point, it was someone's family grocery getter.
Right.
And so we were able to get those type of parts through Napa and their partners.
And just
so we
to
brought
talk about, like, say, Napa,
Yep.
the reason, like, these companies really jumped on board. So just so people who don't know, our show it happened right in the midst of things kind of blowing up with COVID-19. So the plan was to build a car over 3 days of the show, Friday, Saturday, and I guess wrap it on Sunday and fire it up potentially. So we only gave you 2, and you still got pretty close. We ended up not opening on the Sunday because everything was shutting down, and kind of had our hand forced on not being able to do that. But and even, like, say, Napa, their booth, they had their own main corporate display, but then they actually purchased another booth right beside the project car that you were working on, just to be part of it and show their support. And so just talk about why they got involved and why they were so interested in this project.
So when I talked to the people at Napa, they basically said the days of race car billboards are done. If you would have came in asking for a race car sponsorship, we're not interested. They wanted a project that they could get behind, and that was the Race for Trades initiative that we're starting with this car. We're going to use this card as a billboard to promote trades to young people.
Yeah.
And the car is going to be housed at Flamboro Speedway, and that program wants to show kids that trades can be a viable option coming out of high school. You got to reach these kids in high school, because the system that we have now forces the university and college program, and only that program. We want to make kids know that there's other options. Like, I'm a college graduate, but my brother went through the trades directive. My dad is a licensed mechanic. So, I'm from a family of tradespeople, but it wasn't my chosen path. But that's what we want, is the option to be out there to kids. So that's what Napa.
So in addition to getting someone engaged in racing who might have been at a car show to look at cars on a field trip, it's also about careers too.
Exactly. If you take racing as a hobby, the amount of things, there's kids starting in 5 years old in go-karts. So they're learning the skills either by just watching or actually getting their hands dirty and doing it. But they're learning things like mechanics skills. They're learning welding skills. They're learning wiring skills, like to be an electrician. Like, there's so many things, a machinist. Like, these things are going to be things that they're going to be around from 5 years old.
Yeah.
Why not take something that you enjoy doing for a hobby and make it a living?
Yeah. And can you talk about some of the people who worked on the cars? I guess all ages and what was done.
Okay, so literally the car was rebuilt. Like, we had every part off and every part back on. We had guys like Nick Clark from up Full Throttle Way, Mike and Tim Norris. They raced in the Pro Challenge Series and Flamboro Late Models. We had Scott Steckley and his son Kyle. Kyle's an emerging star in the mini stock scene in Ontario. Lucas Dillman, another guy I'd never met before the show, just wanted to be part of it, and came down from Full Throttle and gave us a hand. Dylan Sharp, a mini stock driver, he's come from the drift world and recently got into racing in Ontario, so racing circle track in Ontario. And the list goes on. Like, we've had Harold Norrie from Engines from Hal, my dad, Mark Dennis, team members back at the shop, like Spira Racing. So the Shaw family, Randy and Samantha Shaw, Mark Dennis, Dave Mast, Ken Spira, Carol Spira, like, the list goes on, and I'm sure I missed names that I shouldn't be missing right now, but
yeah, it happens.
The amount of people, every single person that was a part of it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just so cool too, to have that done at the show. Like, it's great to go about and see cars sitting there, but just the action that added to that room and the racing zone, like people checking out the progress, that was really something to see.
And I played the role of the spokesperson, more so than, like, I wrenched a little bit, but the other people did a lot of the hard work on that car, and they deserve all the credit for that. But I talked to people that were CEOs of companies, right down to high school students that were interested in the trades. So there was a spectrum of everybody. I used to race. I owned a transmission company. I own a mechanic shop. I'm a welder. This is amazing. Like, just those conversations that I was able to have with people at the show about the project, and inquiring about what they could do to help. Like, what's the next step?
Okay. We're just going to take a short break here. We'll be back with Rich in a couple of minutes to continue chatting about the mini stock project car at Motorama.
There are a lot of things in this world that are fake. Your food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave Chicken Wings. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave. There are a lot of things in this world that are fake. Your food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave sausages and street dogs. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave. There are a lot of things in this world that are fake. Your food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave Ribs. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave.
With Rich Schwartzenburg, chatting about the mini stock build that they did at the recent Motorama show, and they had 2 days to do it. And I guess before the break, you spoke a little bit about the reaction and the range of people who were coming by to talk about it. Do you want to just continue with that?
Oh, like I was saying, like the spectrum of people I was able to talk to at that show, and everything from fellow racers to business owners to people that were just looking to get involved to people that just wanted to chat and see what we were going to do. We had people that were, building hundreds of $1,000 show cars coming over and watch us build a mini stock, and they were there setting up on Thursday when we set up, and they checked us out Friday in the morning. They checked us out Friday at night. They checked us first thing Saturday morning, in the middle of the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Like, they just kept coming back, which was really cool. There's that flatbed truck that was in the center show beside the Pinty's booth.
Mm-hmm.
They came over a couple times.
Those guys, TLD guys from Sudbury.
Amazing truck they had. And
nice guys too. Yeah, they came to our show. It was kind of their coming out party. They came to our show last year, and they just blew everybody away. And they're great guys and do amazing work.
And they were talking about what they're up to next. So, conversations like that were a lot of fun to have during the show.
And I understand one of our celebrity guests, Constance Nunes, she grew up around racetracks. Like, if she lives in California, but if she was here, she would have gotten under the car and stayed there all weekend with you guys and taken it to the track when she could.
Well, she asked what she could do. Like, she was planning to come around on Sunday. She said she was going to pick a different outfit for Sunday because it wasn't necessarily the type of outfit that she wrenches on cars in. But
right.
She posted on her social media for us, and I've spoken to her a few times since, as she wanted updates on the final project. So I sent her the photos, and
I didn't mention, but she's on the Netflix show. Was it Car Masters Rust to Riches?
Yes. And she was the most down to earth, nice person, and wanted to spend as much time over at the car as she could, and wanted to know about the project, and wanted to figure out a way that she could take a project like that to get young ladies involved in the sport and involved in cars and the trade in general.
Yeah, she was really neat like that. She reminded me, there's a really nice lady who came to our show a couple of years ago, the late Jessie Combs. And same thing, like trying to inspire young people, especially women, to let them know that the doors aren't shut to them. They can, be part of it.
And I think that's the one thing with racing is you have girls competing at all levels against guys. Like, it's not a closed door. You can go to NASCAR if you want, or you can go to IndyCar if that's your dream, or you can race at the local short track against your brother, your sister, your dad, your
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. So I'm glad, in spite of it, we kind of got double whacked too on the Friday, say, where we have so many kids, usually like over 100 buses show up with kids right before the start of March break. So with the labor trouble with the teachers, that really got cut off as well. So between that and the COVID-19, we didn't have as many kids and people through the building as we were hoping for this year. But I'm glad you were able to connect with a bunch of people.
I think, 3 school buses showed up compared
Yeah.
to the usual numbers.
I know.
So
We always thought it'd be a snowstorm that whacked us, not a teacher strike and a plague.
yes, but those 3 buses came over, so
Yeah.
it was great to talk to those kids, and they all seemed pretty interested. So
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah. So again, and it's only 49 weeks till the next one. So
Wow.
it won't be long before I'm bugging you about what you're thinking, because I'm sure the topic came up. What are you guys going to do next year?
We were rolling the car out of the show, and the guys that had worked in the car looked at me and goes, "What's next?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, I would ask that too. And then it'll be awesome next year. There'll be a million people there to see it, and it'll be good.
so one of the ideas, not to let too much out of the bag, but was a side-by-side idea. So 2 projects side by side with 2 different teams, putting them together.
Wow. No, that's neat. And it's so good for that area of the show. It's action, but then just to show people that they can get involved and see that they can work on a car. Everyone's looking for help all the time. It wouldn't be hard to get, latch onto some people, make some connections, and start showing up.
And that was the really cool thing, was just being able to show exactly to someone, like, oh, this is what we're doing here, this is why we do that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And we could have had the car finished on Saturday night.
Wow.
Because we knew the looming situation.
And we didn't know, like, it was just pressure. Kept getting worse and worse, and we started to get the feeling that it was the walls were coming in, and it was out of our hands for Sunday, and that's what happened. So.
And we had that feeling too. So we were pushing to get it done for Saturday night, and we were about 6 parts short of we'd had the wrong part, or the part we had didn't work correctly, but we were about 6 parts shy from firing on Saturday night. And if Craig would have known that Sunday wasn't going to happen, he would have come down from Owen Sound on Saturday, wrapped the car. And
so say who that is. So Craig Camrath.
Craig Camrath from Image Wraps. I run a page on Facebook called Ontario Mini Stocks. And from the second we got going with needing prizes for the page, we started a best appearing contest for the division, and it got a lot of traction. And Craig came on board and sponsored that, and then we've done top 10 postings and just other promoting some specials and stuff like that for the mini stock division. And Craig's been a huge supporter of that. So following the show, just before things started to really shut down, and we practiced social distancing the whole way up to Owen Sound. 2 of us went up and dropped the car off and did the whole 6-meter thing from Craig and rolled the car into the shop. And within 3 hours, he had it done, and we brought it home. So it looks amazing.
I saw some pictures. Ashley Cubbin just put out a release a couple of days ago, sort of wrapping it up, and had nice shots of the finished car.
And it's not finished yet. We want to get back to the shop. It's almost finished.
Okay.
We want to get back to the shop and do some setup on it now, like get the guys. But we haven't been in the shop. We've been down with that. So. And
then, like everybody, we don't know. There's no timeline really for when we'll be heading to the track. So, but assuming that happens at some point, what is the plan for this car?
I think the original plan was to run some specials with it and get it out there. But I think as we've seen the car and we've done the project, I think the better plan, and it was part of the initial plan all along, is to get a group of about 5 to 6 young people, work on Tuesday nights to set up the car and get them out at Flamboro Speedway for some track time. And the type of kids we're looking for is a kid that's racing pure stock, looking to move up to mini stock, a kid that's coming over from dirt, a kid that's maybe their parents have priced themselves out financially and can't make that jump from go-karts to a full-bodied race car. But we want to get them some seat time, keep them interested in the sport, and get them to that next level of racing that's out there for them. Keep them interested.
Nice. Okay. So we'll follow it with updates here and in Inside Track. I know I'm doing something in the issue we're working on too on your project here. So it's just
Perfect.
been a really neat thing. Like, you know, it's easy to talk and say something, but you really stepped it up and you're like the Pied Piper. A lot of the people jumped on and it was awesome.
I had an incredible team beside me, not even behind me, beside me.
Yeah.
And they were amazing. And, you know, I just can't thank each and every single person that was involved in this enough, because the stuff that they did to make this happen. And, you know, there was a couple times when I was like, I want out. And Ken Spira and Gary Culling just kept pushing and being like, no, let's make this happen. This is what you should hear.
I'll thank them.
Hear. And
yeah.
yeah. So
no, neat thing you did.
The one person I really have to thank is John Caselli.
Okay.
He jumped behind this project like I've never seen him jump behind anything before.
Nice.
And he was so interested in getting the kids involved, and we're going to keep the car there because there's no room at the other shops that I'm a part of. And yeah, it's going to be there, housed at the track, and use it to promote some of the racing specials and race for trades. So yeah, John Caselli and Flamboro Speedway were a huge part of this.
That's great. If people want to follow the project or get in touch with you, what should they do?
They should go on to Ontario Mini Stocks on Facebook or Ontario Asphalt Mini Stocks on Instagram. And I'm on Facebook too. So if you want to send me a personal message, if you're interested in being one of those 5 to 6 young people that's involved in the project, send me a personal message, and we'll get this rolling this summer, hopefully.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks so much for all your work you did on this and for being with us today, Rich.
Thanks, Greg. It was a great pleasure.
Talk to you soon.